honky-tonk drumming. How you going? My name's Quinlan. Welcome to MelbourneMusos Facebook Live, Friday, 6 o'clock every week. You put me under the pump with all these beautiful questions from all these beautiful people, and I'm going to get stuck straight into it. Got things to do, all that sort of biz. And Tim Howell, I'll start with you, me old mate. There you go, Tim Howell. Honky-tonk drumming. Okay, so what we've got, old-time jazz, you know, honky-tonk. A honky-tonk is an old, like a dive bar, right? And back at the turn of the century, like, 1900 and all that, you had Scott Joplin and ragtime jazz, you know, and in these old honky-tonk bars and all this sort of business, what you have is old pianos, right? And they're out of tune and all sorts of things. And so what happened was there was this thing called, they called it tack piano, right? And Brett, the keyboard player of the old Zappa Instrumental, used to talk about tack pianos, and he could honky-tonk piano up a storm and all this sort of stuff. And what it was you actually put tacks, little tacks, into the hammers of the piano, so you get a really metallic sound. Because honky-tonk music is derived, you know, it gets very jazzy and all that. And one of the things, it comes out of sort of New Orleans and all of that sort of stuff. So, and the big thing's a two feel. Actually, I'm doing sort of like a hot four, but a two feel is like one, bum, bam, dum, bum, bam, dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, and you hot it up a bit. Oh, why am I thinking Benny Hill? More cowbell. There you go. Yakety sax, that's honky-tonk. Now what goes on with that? One of the great things is Baby Dodds, who was a wonderful press ruler. They do all these crazy things, you know? Love that stuff. We used to play it in the City of Essendon Brass Band back in the day. And then what happens is you take these old-time songs, you know, like a When the Saints, and there's that kind of jazzy lilt to it. And that turned into things like started with ragtime, with piano that it's stride piano. Art Tatum was great with that, you know. And then it turned into hot club, which is a little bit of the, you know, like gypsy jazz almost, you know, that kind of thing, where you get that kind of that kind of thing there. I could go on forever there. Anyway, there you go. Tim, that's for you. And there you go. So there's that. I might come back to brushes later on. I don't know where, but let's see how we go. Anyway, here we go. Now, Andrew Marshall, I might go to you. I'll do a bit of a technical stick rundown. You've asked me about all the different kinds of sticks and all this sort of stuff. Okay, well, let me give you a rundown, like what I tell my students basically when we're doing things like this, in the sense that you've got 4 main kinds and the numbers don't make any sense at all, right? ProMark actually tried to change it a few years ago, and I did a few clips on that, and they tried to think of it like golf clubs, like a 4-iron, a 5-iron, a 6-iron, 7-iron, but it didn't take really, and they've gone, well, tail between the legs, let's just put 5A and 5B back on the sizes. Yeah. Oh well, nice try. But it doesn't make any sense. But let me tell you the 4 main sizes. If you want a really light stick, I've got one here, but albeit with a mallet on the end, is a 7A, okay? And that gives you the really light if you're playing in a little club or... that kind of thing there. That's a 7A, very light. Then if you just want a straight up pop rock kind of stick, go to a 5A. And this is a kind of a 5A here. And this is a little bit heavier, but I actually don't have a 5A with them. I just lent them out to one of my new students. So what I've got is a few of the signatures types. But the next one up is a 5A. And then the one after that's a 5B. Okay, so that starts to get a little bit on the heavy side, like that. That's one of the kind of sticks here. This is, once again, a mallet stick. I use the ST7s. But if I do the 7, you heard the 7A, but here's a little bit more chunk. If you want a bit more grunt. And the one above that I used to use all the time were 2Bs, sort of basic logs, you know, and they're the heavy. So basically you've got 7A light, 5A light medium, 5B medium, 2B heavy, and all that. And then you've got 101 in-betweens with signature sticks and all this. My little go-to stick at the moment, which I put up to the screen last week, was Evelyn Glennie. Okay, I'll put it up to this camera here. There you go. Because later on, you'll have a 5-camera shoot, hopefully, with a bit of luck, if I pressed all the buttons the right way. And that's what goes on. So what happens is it's tools of the trade is what goes on there. So when you're actually playing things like... a lot of things come into play here because this particular stick has a very long taper, a long shoulder kind of thing. And other sticks have a short taper, so you get a bit more grunt up the front. This one's a beautifully balanced stick for what I do, sort of thing, because I have to change from subject to subject. I mean, I'm acting the fool a little bit with Tim Howell's honky tonk and all that sort of stuff. But what happens is that sometimes you need different kinds of sticks and implements when you're actually wanting to change sounds. Like different sticks actually have different impacts on cymbals. Is that one? A little bit different. Butt end. You see, it just depends on the force